Hello, I am the Pickled Onion Knight and welcome back to another video on my stamp collection. Today it's going to be folder number 6 of the presentation packs, which takes us from the 23rd of January 1990 to the 18th of January 1994. So not much to say about the folders. It's pretty much like all the other ones you've seen. So let's just get into this collection and see what's there. Okay, so as you can see, as usual with these folders, I've got my list here of what should be there. And we'll kick straight away off with RSPCA. So some nice animal stamps there. Then we've got the Europa set, which is a lot of European buildings. And we've got the Queen's Awards for Export and Technology. And this is something that we export, and I don't know, I don't really know what that is. Kew Gardens, see, I told you in a previous video that they got their own stamp set, and the thing is, a photograph might have been better than the drawings, but there you go. You know, because it's easy to photograph plants. In fact, they seem to have used the photograph for the cover art here, but not the actual stamps. Oh well. What does that say? Thomas Hardy. I'm trying to read these funny fonts upside down. The Novelist. In case you had it confused with a different one. 1840 to 1829. So born the same year as the Penny Black. Maybe that's how you end up on a stamp. I don't know. Happy 90th birthday, Her Majesty the Queen Mother. There's all photos of her here. Various stages of life. That's the one that I remember. The big blue hat thing. Big hats, the Queen Mother. Famous for her big hats and gin and racehorses. Is a definitive set. Now, I don't have loads of definitive sets from this point in time, but I must have got this one pretty cheap, which is why I have it. The definitive sets seem to be the most expensive sets to get from the 80s and 90s, and really the 70s. In fact, most of the time, they tend to be the most expensive sets to get. I suppose because lots of people, including myself, didn't really know they existed. They knew the commemorative ones did, and the Christmas ones and things like that, but they didn't really know about these, so less people have them, I suppose. So must have got a deal on that, otherwise wouldn't have it. Gallantry, which is all stamps of medals and things. Look, there you are. Astronomy, which is all different types of telescope and things, and drawings of stars and all good things like that. And then the annual Christmas pack there, look, people playing in the snow. It's all very very festive. There's a gap here, I don't know what's meant to be here. I could refer to the index, but I won't bother. And then some more dogs. There's quite a few times dogs, horses, things like that appear as stamp sets. And that's another set there. Achievements, scientific achievements, there you go. So we've got, what does that say? Babbage, the computer, although I think technically it was a difference engine that he called it, and he never finished it. And when they tried to put it back together, it didn't work the way he said it did, although the excuse that the Science Museum came up with that was, in case anyone stole his instructions, he deliberately made them wrong. Don't know about that, but clever man nonetheless. We've got Faraday, electricity. Yep, fair enough. Didn't invent electricity, obviously. Electricity was a thing that existed, but he did lots of clever experiments with electricity. So what have we got here? Whittle, Frank Whittle's jet engine. Interestingly enough, the Frank Whittle's jet engine was something that in the early 40s, the British Air Force decided was a terrible idea. They didn't fund it. They didn't give the guy any money for anything. And then after the war, they decided they were going to fund it, but they were then going to give it away to the Americans for free. So the British government decided that jet engine during a world war was a terrible thing to research. Then did end up researching it just as the war was ending. And then, despite all the money the British government had put into it, even though at the time the British government were pretty much penniless in very real terms, they ended up giving it away to all our allies for nothing, who hadn't done any research or whatever. And Frank Whittle, I don't think, made a penny out of it. So it's really unfortunate. We also had a rocketry bloke that couldn't get funding. This was a while before that. We had a bloke, and I can't remember his name, who invented the liquid rocket. And he'd been to the British Air Force to try and get them to fund it at some point in the 30s, and didn't get any funding. And then one of the Nazi scientists found his work published in a book and decided to copy it, and the Nazis invented the V2 rocket. So, similar sort of story. Short-sighted British government. But then, they're the same people that didn't think Colossus was a brilliant idea. Thought that was a waste of money. So, there you go. Nothing ever changes. And then radar, which, they could have just used carrots, surely, if they want to see in the dark. No, but again, another fantastic invention. I think I've gone on too long about that one. Europe in space. Yep. If anyone knows what these stamps are supposed to be, do put in the comments. It looks to me like they bought the artwork just before they decided what them stamps should actually be. Because it could be anything, couldn't it? Another sport one. This is a more sort of new millennium, well, not quite new millennium, but sort of 90s sport logo. So we've had the 70s sport, we had the 80s sport, all different logos. This is the 90s sport, as you can see there, how sport was in the 90s. It was great, apparently. So good they had to redo the stamps. Roses, again, one we've had before. And then dinosaurs, which is die, and then there's obviously a bit missing here. That's why they've put the little apostrophe there. So there must be some letters in the middle there they're not printing, and then no saw, and then a different font is, I don't know what. Some of the design on these things during the 90s is just so odd. I don't know what really is going on. Maps, all Ordnance Survey stuff here, look. Yeah. So, bits of the Ordnance Survey map cut up with little Queen's heads put on them. Yep. Then Christmas, 1991. There's some gaps here, obviously, because there's stuff I haven't got. But there's some Christmas stuff. This is a slightly more religious theme than last year, I'd say. They went for the people playing in the snow. Now they've gone for a religious theme. And then possibly next year it'll be another Christmas cardy, Santa Clausy type theme. Who knows? Greeting stamps. Oh no, these are the memory stamps. They're not the greetings ones, although I think technically they are, but they're called memories in this pack. And this is sort of stamps that all sit together in a big block of 10. No, the first two sets of greeting stamps weren't actually released in presentation packs, but I'll save them for another folder once I've finished with the presentation packs. And we've got Happy and Glorious, 1952 to 1992. That is the 40th anniversary of the accession. So not the Jubilee then, or is it? So when's it, the accession? Well, that should have, 52, and the Jubilee's in 50. Oh no, the coronation's in 53. That's right. So this is this is basically they couldn't do a stamp to say George VI is dead, so they call it the accession of Her Majesty the Queen. And then we've got Tennyson here doing different poses, I suppose, and some more blanks. The Civil War, 1642 to 51. And again, what is going on with this font? It's just letters all over the place. I don't know what that is. I don't know why it's there. I don't know what it is. It might be a reference to something. I really don't know. And then you've got other things from the Civil War. And then we've got Gilbert and Sullivan. So the Mikado, Pirates of Penzance. What's that one? I don't know that one. No. Yeoman of the Guard. Yeah, but the Mikado I know quite well. I won't tell you why, but I know it quite well. The green issue. This is about environmentalism. So there's all sort of drawings that people have sent in. There you are. Single European market, completely irrelevant now because we're not in it, or we won't be in it within a matter of months. But there's the stamp for it anyway. Christmas 1992, another religious-y style theme. This time they're all done in the style of stained glass windows, which is quite nice actually. I don't mind that. I mean, I don't know what any of them are, but they're all obviously Christmassy themed. You could probably work it out, I suppose. That's probably I don't know, the Archangel Gabriel. There's Mary and that kid that she's always with. I don't know who that is. Maybe that's King Herod. I don't know. Although you probably wouldn't put him on a stamp, so it might not be. There's 3 people in this picture, so that must be the Magi from the East. There's a bloke with a beard. Maybe that's King Herod. I don't know. Maybe that's God. I don't know. He's got a beard, doesn't he? No idea. Swans. So there's... the Queen is allowed to eat swans, apparently. She owns them all. Nobody else is allowed to eat swans, apart from the Queen and sometimes gypsies. But she can only have them on certain days. Oh no, I think there's... I'm pretty sure there's a university in Cambridge or Oxford. It must be Cambridge, actually. I think the students of Jesus College, Cambridge, or no, Dons of Jesus College, Cambridge can eat swan on one day of the year. But I don't know what day it is. But I'm pretty sure that's it. So the Queen, the Dons of Jesus College, Cambridge, and gypsies. That's the people who can eat swans. Nobody else is allowed to eat swans. Apparently they taste of fish. But like I say, I'm not allowed to eat them, so I couldn't say any more than that. Marine Timekeepers. Now, I'm pretty sure this was released as a miniature sheet as well, which I don't have, which annoys me, because I think it is this one it was also released as a miniature sheet. So sometimes you see these and they're all stuck together in a block of 4. It's like 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top, and that is a pretty sought after thing, whereas the presentation pack with the stamps all separate, not so much, but still glad I've got it. Now, high value definitive stamp, a £10 stamp. I have no clue what you would use that for, but there you go. That's a £10 stamp, that one. And good thing it doesn't come with any others. Jeez, how much would that pack cost? Orchids. There are some orchids. Don't know anything about orchids. Art in the 20th century. There's some art. Yep. Roman Britain. Very interesting time for Britain. A lot of it's made up, of course. But there you are. Inland waterways. So there's some barges and things So it's more of a pleasure thing now, barging, boating, I don't know what they call it. I'm going to call it barging. But of course, historically in Britain, it was an industrial thing before the railways came along and ruined it for all the watermen. Although in some places they still had to use barges, you know, up north and things like that, because you couldn't, you know, when railways first came about, it was difficult getting them up and down hills. So they either still had to use the waterways, or they had to use cart horses and things to pull the trucks up the hill. Anyway, autumn. So this is one of the 4 seasons set of stamps. I think this is the first one, starting with autumn. And there's all sort of autumnal things, you know, nice things, fruit, blackberries, them red things that I don't think you're meant to eat, because, you know, the birds know which ones are good, but they might be poisonous. Yeah, so autumn there. Dangerous autumn. Sherlock Holmes. Not the modern one, obviously. Benedict Twatty Snatch isn't in any of these ones. This is long before the new Sherlock Holmes. Although I think Johnny Lee Miller was probably a jobbing actor by this point in time. But he wasn't playing Sherlock Holmes then. He's doing it in the new one with Lucy Liu. Have you seen it? It's awful. But anyway, Sherlock Holmes, fictional detective. Sherlock Holmes, probably one of the most famous. Of course, Basil the Great Mouse Detective, based upon Sherlock Holmes there. So that's a reference in for any kids that are watching. So Basil the Great Mouse Detective, that favourite film of yours from the 1960s, is based on Sherlock Holmes. So there you go, there's a fact you might not have known. A Christmas Carol. So yeah, here's the more sort of jovial, upbeat Christmas packs. One of them anyway. Christmas. And then another missing one, and then Steam. So yeah, there's all stamps that are to do with Steam, the age of Steam, which ran from around about 1830 something to probably 1930 something, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I know diesel electric locomotives were invented in 1920 something, but they weren't a feature on certainly on British railways until the 50s. So yeah, it's 120 years worth of stamps there. Look, the age of Steam. And even then, you might not just be talking about trains. I mean, if you're going back to the first, is it Newcomen pumps? You're talking in the 1790s there. I mean, goodness, they could have done a lot more with this stamp set, given the age that they had to cover. But oh well. Right, so that's the end of that folder. So there you are then, that was folder number 6. I hope I wasn't too sarcastic, but if I was and you got upset by that, well, tough. All the videos are going to be pretty much the same, only obviously covering different stamps. So all I'm going to do now is say, you know, there's a Twitter thing down there that you can use to reach me, and there's an end card now where there's going to be a video there that's going to be the last one I uploaded before this one. There's going to be, most recent upload, that should be. There's going to be one here, which is a random video from my collection of videos, and there's going to be a subscribe button up here near my face. So yeah, that's the end of this video, and I look forward to seeing you for folder number 7.